Let's look at that example that I talked about, and we're doing the critical value approach, so we want to make sure we show all 6 of those steps that I mentioned. The first one being the hypothesis statement. Hypothesis statement. We have to have the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis, remember, is always mu equals. Doesn't matter, we're using mu equals every time because the text is having us do it that way. It says the average internet time is 18.3. So we're using 18.3. The alternative, can it be concluded that the time differs from? Differs from. Differs means not the same. It's not less than necessarily or necessarily greater than. So that would be mu does not equal 18.3. And as far as the claim, it says, can it be concluded that the mean differs? That's what we're testing. So can it be, that means that's the claim. We also note here that this is two-tailed because it's a do not equal. So we can make our little normal distribution curve like that. We're going to have 2 critical values, 1 for each side there. Second step, the significance level. Significance level. And that's always our alpha equals. In this particular case, they told us alpha was 0.02. Always given to us. The third step is to find our critical value or values. It's going to be one or the other. In this case, it's going to be values because there's a two-tailed test. So our critical value is a z-score because sigma is known. Now we have to go look at that table just like we did when we were doing probability and confidence interval. This is a 0.02 two-tailed test. Two-tailed and 0.2. It's the nice value so we can use the t-table rather than going to the z-tables. Remember, that's all the way down to the 2.326. There's our z-score. Z is the very bottom one, 2.326. Your textbook would have you use 2.33, but I prefer the 2.326. So our test statistic is a plus minus 2.326 because it's two-tailed. So over on this end, negative 2.326. Over on this end, positive 2.326. That separates the do not reject region from the rejection regions. So fourth is our test statistic. Our test statistics. Now, this is a z-score, and it is our x bar minus mu over sigma over square root of n. Well, our scores are 20.9 minus 18.3 over sigma 5.7 over square root of 48. if you look up here, the 20.9, that was from the sample of 48 teenagers, and our standard deviation was 5.7. That's where we got our numbers for our calculations. Substituting that in, we come up with 3.1602. I suggest always going out one place value beyond your test or your critical value because of rounding concepts. And our 3.162, 3.1602 is out there in the rejection region. So we reject H sub 0. I can't stress that enough. We are rejecting the null hypothesis, not the claim. The claim comes about whenever we actually end up doing our summary. So when we do our summary, that's step 6, it's based on our rejection. There is sufficient evidence to indicate the mean internet usage is different or differs from what was thought to be 18.3. And that's based on the fact that we rejected H sub 0. We rejected this part up here, so it means we're agreeing with the null hypothesis. So we're stating that it is not equal to, that it's different from. So those are our 6 steps in a critical value approach when sigma is known.